Top scrolling for a moment, because if you're over 50, there's a silent change happening inside your body that most people never notice until it becomes serious. I'm not saying this to alarm you without reason, but because in my years of medical practice, I've seen how easily early warning signs are ignored. And before we go any further, if you find this kind of honest, practical medical guidance helpful, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more people receive information that could genuinely support their long-term health. Most people don't realize that after 50, the body's ability to regulate blood sugar, inflammation, and cellular repair begins to shift in subtle ways. These changes don't usually cause pain at first, which is why they often go unnoticed. But over time, they can influence how the body responds to stress, diet, and even daily activity. What I'm about to share with you might surprise you. There is one simple daily habit I often discuss with my patients, not because it is a cure for anything, but because it supports multiple systems in the body at once: metabolism, circulation, and immune balance. This habit is not expensive, and it does not require special supplements or complicated routines. In fact, many people overlook it because it seems too simple to matter. But simplicity is exactly why it is so powerful. I've seen patients who began incorporating this small change notice improvements in energy levels, digestion, and overall well-being. While results vary from person to person, research consistently shows that consistent lifestyle patterns can play an important role in long-term health outcomes. And here is where things become especially important. When people think about serious conditions like cancer, they often focus only on genetics or medical treatments. But in reality, everyday habits, what you eat, how you move, how you sleep, can influence the internal environment of the body in meaningful ways. So today, I want you to stay with me because understanding this one overlooked habit could help you make more informed choices starting right now. One of the most overlooked aspects of this habit is how it fits into ordinary daily life. It is not about intense workouts or drastic changes. It is about consistency in a small action repeated after key moments in your day, especially after meals, when your body is processing nutrients and blood sugar naturally shifts. This is where many people unintentionally miss an opportunity to support their long-term health. Now, I want you to picture something very common. You finish a meal, maybe lunch or dinner. You sit down, relax, reach for your phone, or turn on the television. It feels harmless, even deserved after a long day. Almost everyone does this. But what I'm about to tell you might change the way you think about that moment forever. In medical research, there is growing attention on what happens in the body right after eating. Blood sugar rises, digestion begins, and the body directs energy toward processing food. For some people, especially adults over 50, this period can become a critical window where small habits have a surprisingly large impact. One simple daily habit I often recommend is gentle movement after meals, not intense exercise, not exhausting routines, just light activity like a short walk. This may sound too simple to matter, but physiologically, it supports the body in very meaningful ways. I've seen this too many times in patients who felt generally fine, but had subtle issues developing beneath the surface: sluggish metabolism, rising blood sugar trends, or persistent fatigue. When they begin incorporating light post-meal movement into their routine, many notice gradual improvements in how they feel day to day. And here is something most people don't realize. When you remain completely inactive after eating, especially for long periods, your body may take longer to process glucose efficiently. Over time, this can place additional strain on metabolic balance. It doesn't cause immediate symptoms, which is exactly why it's often ignored. What I find most interesting is that this habit doesn't require motivation in the way exercise usually does. It's not about working out. It's about consistency. Even 5 to 10 minutes of slow walking can help support circulation and digestion in a gentle, natural way. Some of my patients describe it as a small ritual, something that gives them a moment to reset mentally as well. And that emotional benefit is just as important as the physical one. Stress reduction after meals can also play a role in how the body regulates itself. Now, I want to be very clear. This is not a cure for disease, and it should never replace medical care or prescribed treatment. But it is a supportive habit, one that aligns with what we understand about how the body functions best over time. And as we go deeper, I'll show you why this simple action becomes even more powerful when combined with another overlooked factor most people completely ignore in their daily routine. There is something else I need you to understand, because most people never connect this idea to long-term health. The human body is not just reacting to what you do once in a while, it is responding to patterns, repeated patterns, daily habits that quietly shape how your metabolism, immune system, and even cellular repair processes function over time. And this is where things become more interesting. When I talk to patients over 50, I often ask them a simple question. What does your body experience every single day without fail? Most people think about food or medication. Very few think about movement after meals, hydration timing, or even how long they stay seated continuously. But research increasingly shows that long periods of inactivity, especially after eating, can influence how efficiently the body handles inflammation and blood sugar fluctuations. And while inflammation is a natural and necessary process, chronic low-grade inflammation is something we want to keep in balance as we age. What I'm about to share with you is not complicated, but it is often underestimated. After meals, your body is actively directing blood flow toward digestion. If you remain completely still for long periods, especially sitting hunched over or lying down immediately, circulation patterns slow in ways that may not feel noticeable at first, but over months and years, these small patterns can add up. This is why the simple habit I mentioned earlier, gentle movement after eating, works so well alongside another overlooked factor, hydration timing. Most people drink water only when they feel thirsty. But as we age, the body's thirst signals can become less sensitive. Mild dehydration can quietly affect energy levels, digestion, and even concentration. And when combined with sedentary behavior, it can make the body feel more sluggish than it needs to. I've had patients tell me, "Doctor, I thought this was just aging." But often, it wasn't just aging. It was accumulation of small, correctable habits. And here is something important I want you to remember. Supporting your body is not about doing one big dramatic change. It is about stacking small, sustainable actions that work with your biology instead of against it. Even something as simple as standing up regularly, walking slowly after meals, and maintaining steady hydration can help the body maintain a more stable, internal environment. But there is still one more layer to this that most people completely miss. It has to do with how your body repairs itself at night, and how a single daily routine during the day can influence that process more than you might expect. Let me take you a little deeper into something many people over 50 never get properly explained. Your body does not just wear out with age. That is an oversimplification. What actually happens is that certain repair systems in the body begin to slow down in efficiency. This includes how your cells recover from daily stress, how inflammation is regulated, and how your metabolism resets between meals and sleep. And this is exactly why daily habits matter far more than most people realize. I've seen patients who assume that fatigue, brain fog, or slower digestion is simply normal aging. But when we look closer, we often find lifestyle patterns that are quietly influencing how the body feels on a daily basis. One of the most important of these patterns is how your body transitions from activity during the day into recovery at night. If your daytime habits are chaotic, irregular meals, long periods of sitting, minimal movement after eating, the body often carries that imbalance into the night. Now here is where it becomes especially relevant. Light movement after meals doesn't just support digestion in the moment, it also helps regulate blood sugar fluctuations throughout the day. And when blood sugar patterns are more stable, the body tends to experience less internal stress overall. That reduced stress load can support more restorative nighttime recovery. What I'm about to say might surprise you. Many people focus only on big health interventions, supplements, strict diets, or intense exercise routines. But the body often responds more consistently to gentle, repeated signals of balance. Regular walking after meals is one of those signals. It tells your body, we are not in stress mode, we are in steady rhythm. And over time, that consistency can influence how you feel in ways that are subtle at first. Better energy in the morning, fewer post-meal crashes, improved comfort after eating. But I also want to be responsible here. If someone already has a medical condition, especially related to heart health or blood sugar management, these habits should complement, not replace, professional medical advice and treatment. I've had patients come back and say something like, "I didn't expect something so simple to make me feel this different." And I always remind them, it wasn't overnight. It was the accumulation of small daily choices working together. Now, there is another critical piece that ties into everything we've discussed so far. It is something most people completely overlook, even though it directly affects inflammation, metabolic balance, and long-term cellular health. And once you understand it, the habit I'm talking about will make even more sense. Now, I want to talk about something most people over 50 rarely connect with serious long-term health risks, and yet in medical science, it keeps appearing again and again in research. It is the idea of internal balance, not emotional balance, not just diet, but how stable your body's internal environment remains throughout the day. When that balance is disrupted repeatedly, through long sitting periods, irregular movement, inconsistent meal timing, and poor post-meal habits, the body has to work harder to maintain stability. Over time, that extra strain can influence inflammation levels, energy regulation, and metabolic efficiency. And this is where the simple daily habit I've been describing becomes so important. Gentle movement after meals is not just about digestion. It helps reduce sharp spikes in blood sugar. And when blood sugar rises and falls too quickly, it can place stress on multiple systems in the body at once. The pancreas, the cardiovascular system, and even the brain are all involved in managing that balance. What most people don't realize is that the body prefers smooth, steady transitions, not sudden changes. I've seen patients who initially thought this was irrelevant. "Doctor, how can a short walk matter?" they would ask me. But when they actually started doing it consistently, they often noticed something unexpected, not just physical changes, but a sense of steadier energy throughout the day. No sudden crashes after meals, less heaviness, more clarity. And while these experiences vary, they are consistent enough in medical observation that we cannot ignore them. But there is another layer here that is even more important. When your body experiences repeated spikes in stress, whether from blood sugar fluctuations, inactivity, or chronic low-grade inflammation, it can affect how your cells function over time. Cellular stress does not always feel like anything in the moment. That is what makes it so dangerous in the long run. This is why prevention is not about fear. It is about awareness of patterns. Now, I want to be very clear again. Nothing I am sharing here is a cure or a guarantee. This is about supporting your body in a way that aligns with how it naturally works. And the reason I emphasize this so strongly is because many of my patients only begin to appreciate these habits after they've already experienced preventable discomfort or health challenges. But there is still something deeper we need to discuss, something that connects daily habits, inflammation, and long-term cellular protection in a way most people never hear about in routine checkups. And once you understand this, everything we've talked about will start to fit together in a very clear picture. At this point, I want you to think about something very carefully. Your body is constantly repairing itself. Every single day, billions of cells are replaced, repaired, or renewed. This is happening whether you think about it or not. The question is not whether this process exists. The question is how well it is supported by your daily habits. And this is where many people unknowingly make things harder for their own body. When there is repeated stress in the system, like frequent blood sugar fluctuations, long hours of sitting, poor post-meal circulation, and inconsistent activity, the body has to allocate more energy toward managing imbalance instead of repair. Over time, that shift can quietly affect how you feel. Now, I want to bring your attention back to something very simple, because simplicity is often where the most powerful health changes begin. That short walk after meals. It may seem too small to matter, but physiologically, it creates a cascade of supportive effects. It helps muscles use glucose more efficiently. It encourages better circulation during a key digestive window, and it reduces the sudden burden placed on metabolic systems right after eating. In many cases, it is not about doing more. It is about doing less damage in small, repeated moments throughout the day. What I've noticed in long-term patients is this: consistency matters more than intensity. People who try extreme diets or intense routines often struggle to maintain them. But people who adopt small, sustainable habits, like gentle post-meal movement, are far more likely to stick with them over time. And that long-term consistency is where real change happens. Now, let me share something important from a clinical perspective. I've seen individuals who initially dismiss these habits later tell me, "I wish I had started sooner." Not because they developed a specific disease from not walking, but because they realized how much better their daily quality of life could have been with simple adjustments. More energy in the afternoon, less heaviness after meals, better sleep patterns. These are the kinds of changes people often notice first. And again, I want to be very responsible here. This is not a treatment, and it is not a replacement for medical care. It is a supportive habit that works alongside a healthy lifestyle and professional guidance when needed. But there is still one final piece that ties everything together. It is the habit most people overlook completely, not because it is complicated, but because it is easy to underestimate its long-term impact on aging, inflammation, and overall vitality. Now we come to the part that brings everything together. And honestly, it is the part most people overlook because it does not look medical at first glance. But in my experience, the most powerful health habits are often the least dramatic ones. Let me be very direct with you. There is no single habit that prevents disease on its own. Not one. The body is far too complex for that kind of thinking, but there are daily patterns that can strongly support how your body ages, how it manages inflammation, and how efficiently it maintains balance over time. And what I've been describing throughout this video is one of those patterns: gentle movement after meals. When done consistently, it supports circulation at a time when the body needs it most. It helps smooth out blood sugar fluctuations. It encourages digestion to proceed more efficiently. And over time, it reduces the burden of long periods of inactivity that so many adults unintentionally fall into. But here is the deeper truth most people miss. It is not about the walk itself. It is about what the walk represents: consistency, rhythm, and respect for your body's natural processes. I've seen people transform their daily well-being not through extreme changes, but through small, repeated decisions like this. And the longer I practice medicine, the more I realize that prevention is rarely about complexity. It is about awareness applied consistently. What I want you to take away from this is simple. Your body is always responding to how you live, hour by hour, day by day. And even after 50, it is never too late to support it in a better way. The body is adaptable. It responds to positive patterns at any age. So if you take only one thing from me today, let it be this: do not underestimate small habits just because they feel simple. Some of the most meaningful improvements in long-term health come from the smallest actions done consistently over time. And if you've watched this far, I want to thank you for staying with me. I hope this gave you a new perspective on something you may have been overlooking in your daily routine. If you found this helpful, please like the video and subscribe. It genuinely helps more people access calm, responsible, and science-based health education like this. And as always, take care of your body, not with fear, but with steady, informed choices that support you for years to come.